Everybody, it is hump day and we are here to get right into it. Do all roads lead to Jack? Did we just solve the case with Murphy? Did Murphy solve the case? And I'm wondering why more people haven't asked these questions already. Maybe they have, I don't know. That being said, again, this is one of those very sensitive videos, right? Because people don't like us pointing the finger. They don't like us asking questions about ex-boyfriends. They don't like us asking questions about things that don't make sense, babe. Do they now? Do they now? But we're here to do just that. So this is your trigger warning, babe. If you're a very close-minded individual who, oh my God, you're hurting my feelings. You know, if you're one of those people, you can go away right now because we're going to be talking about Jack. We have a lot of questions for Jack. I have a lot of questions for Jack. That being said, these are my theories, conspiracies, opinions, whatever you want to call them. So, yeah. I'm not pointing the finger. We are not saying Jack was involved. We're just asking questions. Questions that honestly, they should have been asked by investigators, right? There's a lot of suspicious activity around Murphy. Now, for those of you who are new, welcome. Murphy he is so cute. He's the cutest dog ever. Go check out the thumbnail, zoom in, zoom out. We're going to talk about everything in the thumbnail today, right? This cute doggy Murphy this puppy was shared between Kaylee and her boyfriend. Now, most people in our country who have pets see their pets as babies, right? We have to understand the psychology of pets and human psychology, human behavior, okay? And I've lived all over the world. I've lived in the jungle in South America. Every country sees animals differently. In America, if you're not from America, we see our doggies, our cats, sometimes our fish as babies. Literally our children. That is a very important thing. And when you have a mommy and a daddy, aka Jack Decor and Kaylee, who are sharing a dog, and mommy and daddy are basically getting divorced, they're basically getting separated, because we knew Kaylee didn't really have plans to stay with Jack D, did she? Right? No, she had already left Moscow. He was on her merry way to be a single, sexy mommy. And she was gonna keep the baby. She was gonna keep Murphy. In fact, she already had Murphy in her possession. Now, let's put ourselves in a divorced dad's shoes. Would you feel hurt if you were a divorced daddy and your sexy wife was like, I'm leaving, this is not gonna work out, and I'm taking the kids, and you'll probably never see them again? Be honest with me. Would that hurt your feelings? Because if you're honestly being honest with us here, I know we would all be hurt, right? If you couldn't see your kids, you couldn't see your babies, your fur babies, we'd be hurt. Okay, this is a big freaking deal. Welcome, guys in the chat. Welcome to your first live, Marshall. It would be heartbreaking. It would be heart-wrenching to never see your fur babies or real babies again. Again, we have to understand the psychology behind Americans and fur babies. They're literally our children, right? Now, I was not able to verify what I'm about to say next, so take it with a grain of salt. Don't believe everything you hear. But it had been reported in the past, allegedly, that Dylan Mortensen had used the excuse that Murphy was missing to get her and Maddie back into the house. Is that real? Is that not real? Then Dylan called the driver, Eric Gower, and arranged for him to get them. This is a theory. This is a rumor. And allegedly, that's why Kaylee and Maddie left the grub truck so abruptly. We see them leave very, very quickly because supposedly somebody had told Kaylee that Murphy, her fur baby, was missing. right? Is that why Kaylee and Maddie called Jack Decor Kaylee's ex so many freaking times to see if he had Murphy? Now, we have to remember, again, mommy and daddy, Kaylee and Jack had already technically divorced. They had already gone on their merry ways. Kaylee had already left. Kaylee had already taken Murphy with him. But when Kaylee was lured back to Moscow by Dylan, you want to be my plus one? You want to be my plus one? Although, for plus one, they didn't really spend a lot of time together, right? Because all the footage that we've seen is literally Kaylee and Maddie. Did they even spend time with Dylan? Nonetheless, Kaylee appears to have been lured back by Dylan, or at least asked to return to Moscow by Dylan. Kaylee goes back. According to her family, she wants to show off her new vehicle because, you know, that's what I guess people do. And on her trip back to Moscow, she packed Murphy to take Murphy with her back to Moscow. In all the videos that we've seen with the girls, with Murphy, Murphy was like a big part of the family, right? We know that they all grew close to Murphy. He's like this like spunky, energetic puppy, very, very cute. Now, just remember as you're going through this, a lot of it's kind of, you know, out of order because my ADD. Remember, there were no sirens when the cops arrived at 1122 King Road. Okay, why would that be? Did the cops already know that the victims were passed away? Just something to keep the back of your brain working while we're talking about Murphy, right? It's almost like the cops magically appeared there, right? Now, we haven't really heard about Murphy from law enforcement. We have heard Ann Taylor ask questions about Murphy. She's like, there's some things that don't make sense. We have heard her ask very important questions regarding Murphy. Did Kaylee bring Murphy back? We know that Kaylee took Murphy from wherever she was at to Moscow for that weekend, right? Why would she take Murphy back? Sure, the girls were close to him, but who else was there? Jack Decor, her baby daddy. Murphy's daddy was gonna be there. Now, when you have a baby and you're a divorced mommy and daddy, what do you normally do? You share custody of your babies, right? So I'm just wondering to myself and kind of out loud here to you guys, was Kaylee's ex supposed to spend time with Murphy while Kaylee was out and about partying with her friends, supposedly being Dylan's plus one? Who had Murphy this whole time? Because from the footage that I've seen, I really doubt that Kaylee would have left Murphy alone the whole time at 1122 King Road. I don't believe that for a second, right? My instinct as a mother would be, I'm gonna leave my babies with my baby daddy, right? My fur babies with my baby daddy. Then we've also heard per Ann Taylor, per the legal documents, not per me, that all the doors inside of 1122 King Road were open. They were found open by law enforcement. And then the cops showed up at 11:58 a.m. but found Murphy magically sitting there in Kaylee's bedroom with the door wide open, right? We know this is a puppy that, again, knew everybody in the home. We know that this is a puppy that was full of energy. Again, we've seen the videos. We've seen all their TikToks and Instagram posts that the girls were always sharing about Murphy. Very energetic, very hyper puppy. But we are supposed to not question the fact that Murphy was literally sitting in this bloodbath of a home. And he was just chilling, like inside this room, like just chilling. He didn't roam through the house. He didn't have any DNA. He didn't have any red fluid. He didn't have any body fluids on him. How in the world did this happen? This is why Ann Taylor is asking those questions. Because when you step back and look at it, it doesn't really make sense. And I know what the guilters are thinking. Well, you know, you've obviously never had a puppy because obviously puppies can become scared. Yes, puppies can become scared. Puppies can hide. But also, puppies are probably going to get some body fluid on them while they are inside of the room. that is allegedly a bloodbath, right? It makes sense. So I just wonder, did somebody keep Murphy while Kaylee was partying? And if so, did this person drop Murphy off the following day? Is that even possible? Like post-crime? And if so, who was it? Now, what stands out to me is Kaylee's text to Jack about sharing Murphy. We've all seen the messages, all the texts that Kaylee sent to Jack after she called him, I believe they called Jack like 9 times at around 2:20 in the morning. And he didn't answer the call, so then she just texted, right? And she texted about Murphy. So Murphy was on her mind, which, again, the rumors, early day rumors about Kaylee and Maddie leaving the grub truck so abruptly because supposedly Murphy was missing. 1 + 1 = 2, babe. Now, it doesn't sound like there were plans for Murphy because Jack never even picked up his phone, right? And we have all heard the audio, the Linda Lane footage of a dog. We hear a dog barking at 2:20 a.m. So is it possible that all the ruckus was actually over Murphy? Again, from a psychological perspective, when you are talking about pets in America, they're literally family, they're literally blood, they're literally your children. So could somebody get in a big fight, have a massive argument over a dog? Of course. That's your baby. And if somebody has an argument over their baby in a heated rage, do you think that people could do something stupid? Of course, because people do stupid things all the time. Because guess what, babe? When you and your babies are split up, or the mom is telling you, you will never see your kids again. People see red. And when you see red, you don't know what the heck you're doing anymore. Okay? I have worked in jails while I was getting my master's degree in psychology. When people see red, we're done. It's done. Somebody's gonna do something stupid and then they'll snap back, oh my God, what did I do? Right? It takes them some time to come back to reality. To me, it's looking a lot like somebody took Murphy. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for the $2. Woo-hoo, thank you, Outcast. I can math. That's right. I can math. Thank you so much. To me, it's just looking like somebody took Murphy to clean him and then snuck him back into 1122 King Road the following morning. But why would somebody do that? Unless, of course, they were the unaliver or they are in some way involved in the crime, right? Now, I almost never talk about the thumbnails. You guys are like, what are these thumbnails about? You circle stuff and you underline stuff and you never talk about it. Maybe it's because I want you to use your investigative skills, babe. But we're going to talk about this because in this thumbnail of today, you see this vehicle that I circled in red. It's on the top right corner. Now, what's weird is that this vehicle that supposedly belonged to like a sibling of Ethan, from what we've heard, allegedly, it must have been there before the cops arrived. Again, making the case much more suspicious than we are being told. Because it's seeming like Dylan and Bethany called every freaking buddy over except the cops, right? Like they waited 8 hours to call the cops. No, instead they just invited the whole university. That's what it's looking like, right? And this vehicle that is circled in the thumbnail, it must have been there before the cops arrived, because if you look closely at the thumbnail, what do we see? We see this vehicle that supposedly belonged to a sibling of Ethan getting towed, right? Because it's considered part of the crime scene. How do we know that it was there before? Well, if you look at that picture, I also underlined the crime scene tape that they placed all around the perimeter of 1122 King Road. Meaning what? Meaning that that vehicle had been there way before the cops arrived there. And on top of that, it's my opinion that there's way too freaking much snow on that car for it not to have been there for hours. Again, cops showed up at 11:58 a.m. And when I look at the weather, it had started to snow in Moscow at around 6 a.m. the day of the crime. Look at that picture that I underlined, that I circled in the thumbnail. There is a fudge ton of snow piled on that vehicle. So it's looking a little sus, right? Now, if you enjoyed this video, guys, Please leave a 1 if you think that asking questions about Murphy could give us more insight on who could have been at 1122 King Road or what took place that night, right? Please leave a 1. If you think that a dog that was found bloodless in Kaylee's room with the door open, in this room that was an alleged bloodbath of a room, of a home, if you think that a bloodless dog doesn't mean anything, please leave it too. I'm very curious to see what you guys think about that. And then I'm gonna check the chat out. How are you guys doing, by the way? Happy hump day. It's getting hot in here. All this talking about Jack, about Murphy gets me very riled up, right? Hello, Leslie and Billy. Hi, Sid. Sid says the pandemic definitely made people more attached to their pets and their pets to them as well. That's also true, right? Amy Lou number 2. Hello, welcome, welcome. Sherry and Barney at home. Barney's my fur baby. Oh, is he in the picture? He's too cute. He's so cute. Sid says, and Kaylee was glued to her phone while at the grub truck. And yes, a lot of young people are glued on their phone, but that rumor that we heard in the beginning that Maddie and Kaylee rushed back allegedly to 1122 King Road was supposedly because somebody messaged her telling her that her fur baby was gone. Who would have messaged her telling her that? Was it somebody trying to get her to go back to 1122 King Road? Who do you think messaged her? Could it have been Dylan? Could it have been Jack? I don't know, but if somebody messaged her, it just makes you wonder, right? We could go like down a rabbit hole. And again, I'm hoping, but I highly doubt that these questions were asked by investigators. But I am glad that at least Ann Taylor is asking these questions. She also finds it very sus that here we have a bloodless dog in this room, in a home where all the doors to their bedrooms are open and he's just chilling there. All right. Hello, Nadine. Hi, Lori. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Donna. Luce says, +1 for the sorority dance on Friday. But who was MM's +1? Cops were already there. I agree. Wonders Deep. Hi, Kim House. Hello. I'm glad you made it live. Welcome. Welcome. Big plans, Little City. No blood on the dog seems weird. I think so, too. Donna says, the mayor of Moscow said the sirens went through the town blaring in an interview. Did he lie? Because we're not hearing that in the call, right? Kim says, I think Jack had the dog all along. And again, as the father of a fur baby, I mean, it's kind of statistically possible that he would have had the dog, right? And you know what I find really creepy? Some people think it's cute. They're like, oh my God, it's so cute that Jack D started an Instagram for Murphy. Like, yeah, Murphy's cute. Therefore, his Instagram will be cute, but I just find it so weird. I don't know. I just find it weird. Like, this was Kaylee's dog. Shouldn't her family have kept it? Or were they just being nice and said, here you go. Here you go, keep it. Speaking of Kaylee's family, in the early days, like 3 years ago, Olivia Gonzalez, you know, she wasn't waiting for the police to find the person that was responsible for unaliving her sister. Like, she was trying to get on it. She was trying to investigate. She was trying to get ahead. Because remember, Moscow Police Department is a piece of trash police department that wasn't communicating with the families in the very early days. I felt for the G family back then, because it's like, how are you not going to tell the family? How are you not going to try to reach out and tell them that their daughter just got unalived? Very odd. It raises some questions. But Olivia Gonzalez did raise questions. She was like the very first one to start asking questions about why her sister is calling Jack multiple times while she was supposedly being slain. You know, Kaylee called Jack 6 times between 2:26 to 2:44 a.m. And then Maddie calls Jack 3 times from 2:44 to 2:52 a.m. Yeah, I'm glad that it's not just us asking questions. I'm glad that this was actually a Gonzalez family member asking actually insightful questions. Now, I haven't heard them talk about him After that, we know that Mr. Gonsalves had his doubts regarding Jack, regarding the ex-boyfriend, which again, statistically what? It's always a lover or a partner who does something horrible, right? But does that explain the other victims? Maybe, maybe not. Collateral damage? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't know. Are any of you guys parents? Are any of you guys parents? Puppy parents? Human parents? Let me know in the chat. I'm not a person that's like, oh my God, my vibes are always spot on. They're not, right? But most of the time they're pretty spot on. And I don't know, but like mommy and daddy vibes, we just have like this, like, I think every human actually has it. Some people are just more connected to their that sense of like, there's something odd, there's something off here, especially with a child. Mr. Gonsalves' instincts in the early days were telling him that Jack D was sus AF. Is it possible that his early day daddy instincts were spot on? Allegedly, Mr. Gonsalves tried to, or made Jack strip himself like down to nothing to see if he had wounds. I don't know. You have a cat. I love cats. They're so cool. Now, somebody mentioned, and this is a little bit morbid, so we talk about morbid things in here. It's true crime, bro. It's true crime, so that's your trigger warning. But somebody mentioned it almost would have been better if Kaylee would have had a cat. Do you guys know why? It's something morbid. I'll give you guys 10 seconds. All right, I'll let you know. Okay, because cats, as soon as their mommy and daddy pass away, the cats will start eating the body. And that gives you a very good time frame of when the crime was actually committed. You can't do that with dogs, right? Yes, exactly. Whoever said your cat will eat you faster. Yes. And that gives us what? A timestamp, basically, of when the crime was committed. Hi guys. I'm sorry if I missed. There's a lot of you guys in the chat. I'm sorry if I missed some of you guys. I try to always address everybody, but you guys are so fast in the chat. Hello, Amy Lou. Hi, Leslie and Billy. Hi, John. Hello, Donna. Hi, Robert. Hi, Zicali. There's no way he would have been covered in it and tracking it around. I think so too. And it's also, yeah, Kim says she doesn't believe Murphy was there. It's very plausible that he wasn't there. It's very plausible that he was probably cleaned up, right? I highly doubt that in this bloodbath mess, like, you didn't get one drop. Again, another thing to add to this case that doesn't make any freaking sense, right? Hello, Tony. What are you doing wearing a hoodie? It's so damn hot today. Yeah, but I'm getting skinny and I'm getting cold, bro. So I was tracking my calories for like 2 weeks and I was eating 3,500 calories. So I scaled back down to 2,800 and I just dropped like 5 pounds in 2 weeks. I have a very fast metabolic rate. It's hoodie day. Mine is dirty. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I notice that when I lose weight, like fat like that, I get very cold very easily. But plus, this is a cool hoodie, right? I earned it. I still have my square knot from when I was, you know, they teach us how to make square knots in the Navy because we're sailors and whatnot. It's still on there. This is like the original square knot I made like, I don't know, like 15 years ago or whenever I was in the military. I've lost track of time. My Shih Tzus are my babies. Oh, you'll have to share pictures with us. You don't unalive 3 others for one person's mistake. I mean, yes and no. Like, yes and no. Again, when people see red, when I used to work at these prisons, when people see red, it's not like they're like, I'm going in there and I'm gonna just be strategic and this and that. You know, they're not in there with that mentality. You literally just rage and then you do something stupid. Especially if, let's just theorize here, especially if theorizing that an ex-boyfriend had unalived Kaylee and her friend because they were together, and you hear somebody coming upstairs maybe like Ethan or maybe Xana. Oh my God, you're still in rage mode. Now you have to delete other people as well, right? But Nadine says, I did hear some kind of audio of someone saying get the bleach. It's so hard to tell what's real and what's not with the audio. We can only wait until the audio is released because again, we can't really trust any of the audio that's out there. It's very difficult to know if it's original or not, right? What kind of tea today? I actually have cold black coffee. Like eyes turn black rage. If you know, you know. That's the same they used to say about Ted Bundy, right? Thank you, Jamie, so much. Jamie, you're always so amazing. Like, I love that you're always trying to support me. I really appreciate that. She says, so show support for Nika by hitting the like and subscribe and share. Thank you. Oh, man called Clay. I don't know. Like, I have a lot of gingers in my family and they're not cuckoo. They're not, right? So a psychopath, and only like less than 1% of the population is psychopathic. So, but I agree with Pearl says that she feels that Jack D should be questioned intensely. I agree. Sue says someone in the beginning of the case said Jack called the house and told someone to put Murphy in the laundry room. I don't know. Again, these are all rumors. These are all speculations. These are all theories. I wasn't there. Y'all weren't there. But still, the fact that he should have been questioned a little bit more, you know, the lack of questioning is what concerns me. So thank you guys for joining me in the chat. I'm sorry I couldn't read all of the messages. I do have to get going and start my other job at 2. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, leave a comment. And Sid, oh my gosh, go spoil your mama, 20-year veteran of the Air Force. That's amazing. She's my hero. Thank you guys. Thank you, Miss Frederick, Miss Tree, My Pals Out Vintage. Is the dog alive? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, yes, ma'am. He has a freaking Instagram, right? So, Marshall, I agree with you. There's so much reasonable doubt in this case. So, you know, Governor Pincus, please go watch all the thousands of videos I've made regarding this case. I've talked extensively about the lack of pictures to video in a lot of the videos that I made, right? Regarding the bodies being removed. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you. Yes, I'm a workaholic. I have too much energy. It's the ADD, bruh. It's ADD and the bills we have to pay. For real. Take care. Thanks for joining me.